How do you define a city? Is it a bustling downtown, or is it the surrounding suburbs? Is it where the buildings start and farmland ends? I'm here in a place challenging every conventional notion of urban life, a place redefining the city itself. This is the Netherlands. You might know it for its bikes, its world-class bike paths, or a YouTuber that tells you it's not just bikes.
Hi, how you doing?
But the Netherlands isn't just about bikes. It has Europe's busiest railway network, carrying 17 billion passengers per year across 6,000 kilometers of track. The Dutch railways are an essential lifeline connecting every corner of this country. But here, trains aren't just a form of transportation. They're at the center of a revolution in city building, creating a city not defined by the land, but by proximity. A city that's just as rural as it is urban. You see, the Dutch are using trains to create a megacity, the Randstad. After the Second World War, the Dutch cities went through a period of extreme renewal and growth. A symbol of freedom, the automobile was seen as the enabler of that growth. And grow it did. Countless low-density developments sprawled further and further away from the central cities. Old canals and city centers were turned into highways and car parking. It was a golden age of endless prosperity. Until it wasn't. Building for cars came with consequences that wreaked havoc on cities. Countless neighborhoods were destroyed to make ways for the automobile, and inner cities were clogged with crippling traffic. Worst of all, though, CarCentric Development ate up precious land. Land that could have been used for farms, apartments, parks, and offices. Land that's incredibly scarce in a small country like the Netherlands. Dutch planners needed a framework to preserve farmland and prevent sprawl, reduce congestion and emissions, all while encouraging the growth of their cities. They turned to an Englishman named Ebenezer Howard, who developed the concept of the Garden City, a dense polycentric metropolis separated by green space. A single city with multiple hubs and centers full of activity. It was a perfect model for the Netherlands, whose 4 largest cities are situated in close proximity. Amsterdam, the cultural heart, Utrecht, the transport hub, Rotterdam, the port city, and The Hague, the center of business and governance. Individually, they're more like small towns, none with a population over 1 million. But together, they could create an economic powerhouse, rivaling world-class cities like London or Paris. It was called the Randstad. What enables this polycentricity isn't just geography and land use. It requires fast, high-capacity transport links. And for that, the Dutch turned to trains. But it wasn't so easy. Decades of car-centric development left the railways in a state of decay. As lines closed and ridership declined, railways were viewed as old and antiquated, left to rot in favor of the automobile. To build the Randstad, Dutch planners had to reimagine the train itself. Something convenient enough to take for a night out, fast enough to make cities feel like neighborhoods, and reliable enough to replace the car. Thus, in 1970, a massive reinvestment program kick-started the revival of the country's railroads. Starting with a new timetable, train frequencies were dramatically increased, with nearly 40% more service. Track speeds were raised, allowing trains to travel faster than ever before. Most importantly, the railways began to be viewed as a single network instead of individual lines. Trains traveling in different directions were scheduled to meet at key stations, prioritizing easy transfers. The goal? To replicate the flexibility of the car, serving trips from anywhere to anywhere at any time of day. And over the course of the next 50 years, the Dutch would transform the disinvested railway into what we see today. A truly comprehensive transport network. Here at the Hague Central Station, you can see a plethora of options behind me, from trams to metros to bike share. These act as feeders, driving ridership into the intercity and regional network. Well-designed stations like this make transfers fast and convenient between regional and local services. For example, you can get from the train to the tram in this station without even stepping outside. Door-to-door travel is made possible by using a single integrated fare card that works for trains, trams, and even bike share and car share options. Unlike demand-based pricing and other intercity rail systems, the NS rail operates on fixed pricing, even on intercity services, ensuring affordability and predictability. As Jarrett Walker said, frequency is freedom, and between the major hubs and the Randstad, trains run every 10 minutes or less. The intercity rail network of the Randstad effectively becomes one massive metro network. Do you want to live in Rotterdam and work in Amsterdam? Have breakfast in The Hague and then lunch in Utrecht? That's all possible, enabled by a fast and frequent rail network. Cities that were once far apart felt closer than ever before. Residents now have easy access to the jobs and services of over 8 million people, a single labor market of more than half of the country's entire population. Traveling between intercity hubs becomes routine as part of the daily urban system, an area in which daily commuting becomes feasible. The expanded daily urban system increased the geographical scope in which people can search for housing without compromising access to employment, education, and other services. Thus, the Ranstad becomes a single polycentric entity with the interactivity and connectivity of a single city. More importantly, the Netherlands started to develop differently. The railway created a new type of development: compact, well-planned towns centered around train stations. No longer was precious green space and farmland paved over for wasteful suburban sprawl. The experience of urban space is as much a social construct as it is a physical one. Our perception of where we can go depends on the transportation options at our disposal. In this case, the Dutch railway network acts as a substitute for proximity, shrinking the distance between cities in the Randstad. This excellent transport network has long been used as a crutch to preserve aesthetic character, making commuting easier to reduce housing pressures on historic city centers. But as the region continues to grow, this is no longer possible. The Randstad now faces a crippling housing crisis, made worse by refusal to densify in its most attractive urban cores. With limited land available near stations, housing supply struggles to keep up with demand, driving up prices and pushing affordable options further out, often beyond the reach of the daily urban system. This, coupled with strict land use regulations and a cultural aversion to high-rise buildings, creates a vicious cycle, perpetuating the crisis. Despite this, it is indisputable that the Randstad has been a massive success. It has dramatically increased people's accessibility to opportunity, to find a job, a place to live, or meet with friends. As a result, the once disparate collection of cities has become one, uniting their economies, their cultures, and most importantly, their people.
Don't wanna go to work today, think I need a